Hello, I'm Paul Lewis Metzger, the director of the Institute for Cultural Engagement, New Wine, New Wineskins. And I want to share with you about my passion for our upcoming conference, Maximize, Don't Marginalize. Key to my own passion for this conference is the fact that I've been dealing in an agonizing way with what it means to be a person for the past several years, especially the last 2+ years, in view of my adult son Christopher's catastrophic brain injury. Christopher endured a traumatic brain injury in January of 2021. And since that time, we've been really reflecting on what it means to have worth and dignity, what it means to be a person. And I seek to maximize my son's identity, not minimize his identity. This came home to me around 2 years ago when one of the leaders at his care facility said that we put a sheet over Christopher at all times, even when it's hot in the summer, even though he has air conditioning, he can still get hot in his room. And they said, we still think it's important to put a sheet over him because we want to affirm his dignity. Now, I don't know where that particular medical leader is coming from in terms of a religious tradition, a philosophy, a way of life, a worldview, a spirituality. I have no idea. But what I do know is that I resonated profoundly so with what she had said in wanting to affirm my son's dignity. For her, I don't think it had anything to do with his capacity in terms of reason or his ability to get up, because he can't get up on his own and walk. He's on a feeding tube. He's dependent on trach. He is dependent on people in so many ways for his survival. But she saw him as having dignity and worth. In our society, there are at least 3 ways in which people reflect on dignity. It can be something like being created in the image of God and having inherent dignity and worth. So it's a doctrine of creation or the sacredness of life bound up with our being created or having some connection to the divine. It could be based on an understanding of capacities, that those who have certain rational capacities or abilities of various kinds, they have dignity. Or it could simply be a projection that people don't have dignity based on capacity or based on some doctrine like image of God. It's all a projection. And we can say of this person, they have dignity because we view them positively. Could be a family member or someone we esteem. And other people, we don't see them as having dignity. We just don't like them or we don't value them, so they don't have dignity. Well, I certainly don't hold to the projectionist view. And I struggle about the substantive view that it's based on a capacity of reason or some kind of ability. For me, for myself, I think it's based on our being created in the image of the triune God, and we have inherent dignity and worth. That to me is what drives my passion for this conference about maximize, don't marginalize. There are people in our society who don't agree with me in terms of my Christian trajectory, but they still affirm that people have inherent dignity and worth, and they want to treat people as having special status. And in fact, they would think all of creation or all of nature should be treated as sacred in some way, not profane. So for me, with my son's situation of his catastrophic brain injury and longing for him to experience some form of meaningful recovery, and until that happens, I don't minimize his worth and identity. He's my son. He has inherent dignity, not simply because he's my son, but because, like all people, he's created in the image of God. He has inherent dignity and worth. And so I want to maximize him, not marginalize him. So it is with the various subjects we're dealing with in this conference. We're going to deal with a variety of subjects. And one of those is going to be the theme of suicide prevention, not to shame people, but to view people from God's vantage point of shalom, to deal with the issue of end-of-life care, to deal with minority religious groups, freedoms, the non-human creation's welfare, racial sensitivity and policing, and LGBTQ+ youth's well-being. How do we maximize, not marginalize? I've learned a lot from my son Christopher, and through our ordeal with him, I've learned so much about what it means to treat people as persons, not as things. Join us, please, for this conference, Maximize, Don't Marginalize. May 18th is our closeoff date. but we start April 13th, just this week, April 13th, dealing with suicide prevention. April 13th to May 18th, every Thursday evening, live webinars. Please join us at New Wineskins for our upcoming conference, Maximize, Don't Marginalize. Thank you very much. Goodbye.